Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Broke and Hungry. Dara and Ellen here with Lauren from Shakti Yoga in Nashville. Super excited to be here. Thank you for taking the time to interview with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Like I said, I'm excited to hear what you have to ask me.
You have no idea what you're getting into. Just to get things going, what is the weirdest thing that happened to you this week?
Wow. I did not see that one coming. That is the weirdest thing that happened to me this week.
Besides this interview.
Well, gosh. You know, I was just in New York, and I was, weird things happen all the time in New York. One of the weirdest things that happened in New York, though, I was, because normally I'm in New York, there's not a lot of eye contact, there's not a lot of connection, and I was at a hotel, and this guy was like in an elevator, and he was like, "Hi, how are you?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "We're in New York," and this guy's like saying, "Hi, how are you?" Because normally, like, I'm the one that's like, "Hi, how are you?" You know, and like in New York, this guy was like, "Hi, how?" In an elevator. Normally, it's just like head down, nobody's talking.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, and I was like, weird, yes, and also like brought me some hope. I was like, yeah, New York, okay.
There are nice people here. Cool.
Yeah, I was like, where are you from? Are you from the South? You're not from.
Plot twist, he's not from New York. Like,
Yeah.
cool.
What were you doing there?
Visiting family, and my husband was doing some work there, and so he works all day, and then I just go play around and do all the, like, visit the studios, and my teacher Dara, he's in Manhattan, and just walk a lot. Talk about good exercise for free. I walked 15 and a half miles on Monday in the city.
Oh my goodness.
That'll get you.
That's crazy.
So
That's crazy. I can only like walk. I'm running about 5 miles now. I'm at that mark, but
that's good.
that's crazy. I guess when you're in the city, you don't really think about how much you're walking because you just kind of have to. That's like your transportation, basically.
Yeah, it's unintentional.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's like, well, I'm going to walk here. I don't ride the subway. So it's, well, one time I had a friend.
We all know
Well,
it's
it is
nasty,
gross, but I had a friend that lived in the city, and she told me a story. Like one time, she was on the subway, and a man was peeing next to her, and I was like, "Well, that sold me. I don't ever have to get on the subway again. It might be convenient, it might be cheap, but so is walking. Maybe not as convenient, but it's cheap."
Yeah, I know.
Free 99.
Free 99. We love that.
And good exercise.
Very good, very good. Well, Lauren, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into coaching and being a part of Shakti Yoga?
Yeah, well, my sister and I opened Shakti in 2012, but before that, like back in my younger, early 20s, out of college and in college, like I bartended, and I was in that industry, and I was not broke at all. Had lots of, made lots of great money, but I realized I was like, I started actually practicing yoga when I was 25, 24. I was like, and something just, clicked. I was like, this service, like me staying up late and like I'm just not happy at work. And so I was like, I gotta get up. So what I do, I started like, how can I make money without bartending? I started personal training. I still had to bartend like once, because you got to do that to pay the bills. So I started personal training. I did a teacher training, my first teacher training in 2009 at a local studio that is not open anymore. But I also traded for my teacher training. I was like, I'll work at the studio, clean the studio, do all those things to pay for my teacher training. Sorry if you hear some barking. It's my bulldog Hank, and he's jealous. He's not in here. So that's how I started, like, teaching and really getting into yoga. So I traded at the studio. Like I cleaned and I did all that stuff like every day, and I would practice every day for free. And that's why we offer that also at Shakti, because that's how, I started. That's how my sister started. And just through the practice and teaching, after our teacher training, teaching a lot. My sister and I were very fortunate to have a great friend investor. So in 2012, we opened Shakti. And it's been a lot of growth since that. It's been over 7 years. And the main thing is to just keep growing, keep learning, keep being a student. And, I saw the way I started, because when we opened Shakti, I was like, we don't have money to open a studio. I don't have the education, or, I did have the education. I didn't want to use the education. But, I just went for it. I was like, well, you're never going to know until you try it out and take the risk. And luckily it's been working out so far.
Love that. So what was it about yoga in particular that you really loved? What drew you to yoga as opposed to other workouts?
Yoga brought something to me that like I didn't know was present. And I think it could be connection with others, but like really connection to myself and like that spiritual practice that like I've played sports my whole life, like did personal training before that. But when I started doing yoga, I was like, oh, there's something more to me than just me also. Like got out, it still takes time I'm still learning that. But I was like, wow, I see how this practice, the dedication, the discipline, what it's physically done to my body, yes, but also like the way I feel. I just want to be better, like a better version of me. I want to have better people around me. And I was like, I want to share this with others. So that's kind of just a different, just a different seeing.
Yeah, I am really into yoga too. And that's all happened over the past probably year and a half that I've gotten into it. And a lot of the reason why I like it is because it's really challenging, but at the beginning and at the end, you're stretching and you're getting your head into that space. And then like the Shavasana at the end, you're just letting your body absorb what you just did instead of like taking off and running into the next thing. And that's probably one of my favorite parts of it is you still get these really great poses and you get better and you get stronger and it's like a really good workout. But there's all that mindfulness to it and the spirituality of it that I really love.
Yeah.
So what does your day look like as a yoga teacher and owning this studio? What does that look like for you?
Well, it looks different than it did when we started, because when we first started, Kelly and I both taught about 12 to 15 classes a week because we only had 6 teachers.
Oh, man.
I know. But we also lived in the space. So This used to be our bedrooms, but we're sitting in right now. This is my bedroom.
Oh, my goodness.
That was Kelly's bedroom. So lived, breathed it, which was one of the best ways to get to know your business and to be for your people. So that was a lot different than now. I teach about 4 or 5 classes a week. My sister and I also lead teacher training, so there's preparation for that, and we lead retreats. But like today, I woke up at 7, I had coffee, I got on my Peloton, which has been a great investment. And then I came to the studio and I practiced and I taught the noon, and now I'm here. And then after this, I'll go hang out with my nephew, and then I'll go home, and all in between this, there's some emails and some work in between. So I have a lot more space in my days than I used to. But one of my favorite things to do is go outside, go for a run, along with practicing. So, yeah.
Sure. So being a business owner, my family has owned businesses forever. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, mostly in the automobile industry. So obviously different from yoga, but that comes along with a lot of stress and anxiety. So what are something, even as a yoga studio, what is something that you do to kind of maintain yourself and keep control of your anxiety and stress that comes with owning this business?
Yeah, it's definitely present. Even though, owning a yoga studio, because it's a business, and I think some people sometimes forget that. We're offering yoga. Well, yeah, but we have to pay the teachers, we have to pay the bills, all the things that can add up. One of the main things I do is I really try to meditate in the morning. I have this little spot in my house. I'll start the coffee, and then I'll sit before that. I'll get it going. I'll go sit in my living room, light a candle, and just sit. And sometimes it's just 5 minutes. Sometimes it's 10 minutes. I use my Insight app. I think it's free. And I just sit before anything else happens. Before I check my emails, any of that stuff. Does it happen every single day? No, but I would say 6 days out of the week it does.
That's awesome.
So that's one of the things I do. I also practice yoga. I was it's one of the best things I could do for my business. Yes, to be in with the business that you're at, to see the students, but also just to practice.
Sure.
Because that's what made me want to teach, is the practice. So it's just getting on my mat and shift everything.
Oh yeah. What is some advice that you would give to somebody who is interested in yoga, but maybe they're holding themselves back because they're not flexible, or they think that they're not capable of doing it?
Yeah, I hear that all the time. Like, I'm not flexible. I'm like, well, of course you won't ever be unless you practice yoga, or like, you got to do some stuff. I would just say, like, okay, you're not flexible. Great, come into class and give it more than 1 or 2 times. There's nothing that ever happened just once, really. Like, or to create a habit or create results. It's very rare that you can just do something once.
Right.
So, I mean, just like if you're starting running, you can't just go run 5 miles your first day. You're like, I'm going to start run, walk, and then I might run a whole mile. And then, it's like, you've got to keep coming, keep practicing, rest when needed, like, repeat. Like, what is it? Breathe, practice, repeat. It's
exactly.
Like, just keep going.
I started getting into yoga. One of my really good friends growing up, Brianna, was super into it, like from middle school. And I always liked the idea of like being a yogi. And, I come from a very hectic family. It's crazy and loud, and there's really no peace. Love you guys if you're listening, but there's no peace. So the idea of being able to channel that and just be present in the moment in myself and kind of rewire some things in the middle of practice really, really attracted me. And probably in college was when I really started to get into it a little bit more. And I would go off and on and off and on. Probably the last 6 months I've been going more consistently, and it's incredible to feel your body becoming more flexible, being able to do a stretch that maybe was hard for you before, but now you're pushing it more, and it's like you're working your mind and your body. Because I know for me personally, when I was first doing it, like I had to get out of my own head, and I had to just be like, just flow with it. Like, just go with it. Like, if you're not reaching your toes, who cares? You're still here. You're still doing it. And, now instead of just my shins, like, I can reach my toes. And I was a dancer growing up. But that was one thing I always struggled with, was flexibility. I could never do the splits. I could never, put my foot on top of my head. And from really diving into it, it just makes you feel good, being able to accomplish those things that you see other people doing, and you're like, I want to do that.
Yeah, and it didn't happen overnight, right? It's like you had to keep going, and yeah.
And so what's your favorite kind of yoga? Because there are so many different facets to yoga, and there's, of course, the different segments that aren't even the movement itself.
Yeah, there's so many types of yoga, which is, great, because then that's something for like, if like one studio doesn't work for you one style, there's another style. If you want a little slower, you want more restorative. What I mostly teach, and what the practice that really shifted my whole entire life, is power yoga. And my teacher, Baron Baptiste, I'm a certified Baptiste teacher. I'm also a Dharma yoga teacher, 500, 800 hour with Dharma Mitra, which is a different style of yoga. But mostly I teach, and Shakti is based in Baptiste power yoga.
Okay.
So you'll see variations of that. And what I love about it is there's the heat. It is kind of a set sequence, but it's very adaptable to any body, anyone who wants to be up for growth, up for change, for possibility for their life, for their body. I think it's just the best. I've never felt so much freedom in this style of yoga, and creativity and strength. Like, I've been practicing this style for 10 years. And just on this 10th year, I'm actually like holding a handstand.
That's crazy.
I'm working on it.
Right?
I'm not even close to that yet. But
last year, this time, I really didn't. I was like, well, I'll just never do that. And it's not like my end goal to have a handstand. It's just fun, like you were saying, like, oh, wow. And you don't get attached to, you're like, oh, well, that's cool. There's a new strength that I have when I'm 37. I'm like almost 38. And I started really practicing when I was 25, 24. And to see, like, back then I was still strong, but like to see my strength now is, wow. It's like I don't miss then. I'm so grateful for all of the, the ride. Sure. But how you can just grow, it's amazing.
Yeah. So the pillars of yoga, and if you could kind of touch on those a little bit.
So
teachers, maybe
breath,
it's a different, right?
Like Dristi, bandhas, heat, and vinyasa. That's 5.
Right.
Yeah. So those are the main ones. And so that's what, if you think about it, Dristi, your eyes, like what are you putting your attention on, where are you setting your eyes? Dristi, and then breath, ujjayi breathing, and then your bandhas, which is your core, like your hands, your feet, your foundation. Those all 3 create heat, and then they create flow. to vinyasa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So those like 3 are more actionable and 2 are, they
More
happen
holistic because of that.
yeah, like you'll start to build the heat. And then you, like once your body's like, if you're breathing, you're focused, you're locked in, you're starting to sweat, and then you can just move, and there's a sense of ease in your body even when you're working hard. It's the steadiness and ease, like our sthira sukha, they call it in yoga.
Awesome. Because I know a lot of people don't see that there are so many different aspects to yoga, and that it's like, and all of that, even just the breath, like you don't have to be practicing a vinyasa at that particular moment to be living that like yogi lifestyle and thinking and having mindful breathing and all of that. So that's kind of where my mind was going. But
well, we kind of talk about that, how like those pillars like are like the poses are just an opportunity for us to practice that. So then we get off the mat and we're challenged, or it's hot, or there's like, you know, there's no flow. Like, okay, wait, set my attention on what I want to happen, breathe, get grounded, like wherever your feet are, you know, that's where you're at. So like the practice is just an opportunity to actually do that, practice those pillars.
So I did a yoga class one time a few years ago with my younger sister, and it was called booty yoga.
Oh yeah. It's fun.
That was so much fun. Have you never heard of it, Ellen?
I've heard of it.
Okay, you literally do yoga and twerk at the same time.
BUTI.
Yes,
Booty.
it's so much fun. And the yoga studio that I go to in Jacksonville, they have a class called Shred, and it's like 25 minutes of HIIT, and then 10 minutes of core, and then 25 minutes of yoga. And the first time I ever did it, like I literally had to walk out of the classroom, and like I was like, I think I'm gonna die. I think I'm gonna pass out. But it was cool because you're getting that hardcore like hip movement where everything's kind of moving. We had like the first time I tried it, I was like, I can hold 3-pound weights or 5-pound weights, like it's fine. But then like, then you die, and you're like, nope, next time I'm just gonna do 2-pound weights or no weight at all. But it was interesting to see that all incorporated into one thing. But I think power yoga is my favorite one to go to because I like the fast movements. The vinyasa flows are nice, like slow flow every now and then. I'll do that on like a Saturday morning, but I kind of I do CrossFit, so I love that, you know, next thing. But I also love to do yoga on top of that because I do have herniated discs in my lower back.
I was like, you need some yoga if you're doing CrossFit.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Yeah, that'll help balance it out and keep you injury free.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, as a yoga teacher and yoga instructor, I'm sure that your health is super important to you. What are some of, as far as your nutrition and stuff like that, what are some of your favorite foods to make, or how do you try to keep yourself healthy other than just, you know, doing yoga?
Right. I'm like, coffee, number one. Without sugar, you know, it's like there's simple things, like try not to do added sugars. If I'm not saying I'm all about balance, you know, and I want to enjoy my life, and I'm not going to deprive myself of things, because I already don't eat gluten or soy or dairy.
Are you intolerant to them, or is that a personal choice?
It is a personal choice, but my husband is intolerant to all those things. So it's and I've been that way for 6 years, and I've felt 100% better definitely after giving up gluten and dairy. And it was really actually easy to switch. Things I love to make is like a chickpea cauliflower curry. I love grilled salmon and kale, like sweet potato fries, or hummus. You know, these are the things that I eat, you know, regularly. I just try to keep it simple. And then again, you know, I'm also always for a delicious like gluten-free dessert, you know, here and there. And I eat fruit, almond butter, banana, like, because I'm not good at preparing. Like a lot of times our lunch is like peanut butter and almond butter, or a banana and almond butter. You know, I'm like, it's cheap, or peanut butter. You know, like it's easy. So yeah.
Yeah, I think people tend to think that eating healthy and being balanced has to be complicated, like that you have to do these elaborate recipes or, you know, something like that in order to be successwhen
over plan your life like Dara does.
Okay, I love to plan. Like you know, and when I've been.
What happens when the plan goes?
I get anxious and and I try to go with the flow. That's why I do yoga, because I'll be like, oh no, it's fine, like everything's cool, like just take a breath, like it's gonna be okay. But no, I definitely stop it. Like,
you say while talking a million miles a minute, it's gonna be fine, it's all good, it's fine.
I think a big thing for, you know, sometimes I'm affiliated with Beachbody, and I do some online health coaching in that aspect. And one of the biggest things that some of the girls will ask me that they have no idea what to do, like with their health and their nutrition and stuff, is, and I'm just like, just write it down, make a plan, you know, write down what you're gonna eat for the week, and be okay with, you know, maybe 3 times that week having the same meal for dinner, and then maybe switch it up a couple times, because I get bored easily. So like, I like to have new foods. But if you go in with a plan, you go to the grocery store, you don't overspend, you know, you're getting exactly what you need, exactly what's on your list, and you know, you don't feel anxious about what you're ready for. But it doesn't have to be complicated. No. It could literally be salmon, salt and pepper, broccoli. And you know, maybe quinoa if you want like a carb or something, you know.
Right. Lack of preparation is like with meals and stuff, you're like, well, that's when you end up buying like an $8 smoothie and you're like, damn it.
Right.
What?
That has like 10 times more sugar than it
right. And I mean, and again, I've gone in phases of that. I'm like, I'm buying a smoothie every day, and I'm like, I just spent $70 that's 2 weeks on smoothies. So I was like, okay, cut that out. You know, make your own or do something else.
Right.
Absolutely.
When you achieve a new pose that you're working towards, like, what does that look like and feel like to you?
It feels, well, number one, it feels good, but it also feels like acknowledgement. It's like, yeah, like I've worked hard for this, and to acknowledge myself, and like also don't get an ego about it, because you know, like just be really grateful. And for my health, for my strength, and like, what else could I keep working towards? I mean, appreciate it, love it, keep practicing it. I feel all those things. And also like possibility, like, yeah, if I can do this, like what else could I do if I stayed open to keep working on something? And also like, not just in my practice, or I'm like kind of actually like outside of the studio, the mat. It's like, oh, what else can I, if I worked on something outside of my mat, like in my life, like I do on my handstand, let's see, anything is possible. Like, I mean, I would be an expert at a lot of things.
Yeah, no, that actually leads me into my next question. How has yoga helped you outside of the studio?
Well, yeah, I feel like it allowed me, so I just actually got married in September.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Newlyweds.
Yeah, we've been together for a little over 6 years, but I feel like yoga has opened me up to a new way of seeing people in my life, like even like relationships with my sisters and my parents, and just like generally people but I don't think without yoga, I mean, I met James at yoga, so that helps.
There you go.
Right. But, you know, like I was talking about the day, like I used to be like, I like older men with dark hair. And I was like, that's very limiting, you know, but he's actually 7 years younger than I am and a blonde, you know? So like, look who I ended up with. I think it's just kept me open and like really willing to be vulnerable and courageous.
Definitely. So what are some of your tips for people that maybe have a super low budget and would love to do yoga, but you know, they don't really have the budget to do a monthly membership or anything at this point? What's a good way for them to start getting into yoga until they have that ability?
Well, I would say go to the studios that have like first time. If you haven't been, like go get the first timer specials. Like we have a 30-day for $30. So you can do your whole month for $30, and you can come as much as you want. There's also a lot of classes that are like just $6 community classes or donation classes. We have those. You know, you can just pay what you will. I really think like if there's a studio or like a wherever you do, whether it be yoga or like cross, you know, if there's some place that you absolutely love and like you're a part of the community, but you're like, I just can't afford this, go talk to the owner. You know, like if this is what I always, if I see somebody like Ellen, you're like, you're showing up at Shakti, you did the 30-day, you came like 28 days of those, you're like, I just really want to keep practicing, you know, and I love it so much and I want to be a part of this community. Like, just we'll work it out.
Yeah.
You know, like it'll work out. I mean, you can also practice at home. You know, there's a lot of, you know, online that's probably affordable, YouTube, but I just like it's so powerful to be in community, to be in a studio, because that's when you surround yourself with the people that are, you know, like who you want to be around. You might meet your future husband or wife or partner. I mean, I did, you know, because he kept coming back, you know, and I just say, like, just talk to somebody. Just, you know, like, don't send an email. Don't, like, oh, I love your studio. Like, do that. Send emails. But, like, go just like, hey, Lauren, can I talk to you for a second? Yeah. Or there's a trade program like I did where I helped clean. You know, you help out before, after class, and you get to practice for free. I think that's one of the best things to do, too, if you have the time for that.
Absolutely. I think that's really great. And I think, too, that community really builds it builds so much more than just relationships. It makes you work harder. It makes you everybody kind of presses each other and forces you. It's, oh, well, if they're working for this, then I'm going to work a little bit harder, and I think that's really good.
Or it keeps you accountable and inspires you. Like when I look at people with a great practice, I'm like, I'm not like, I want to be like them, but I'm like, wow, like they've also like put a lot of time and energy in that. Like I want to like put time and energy in my own practice.
Absolutely.
So how many times, I know you said you teach about 4 or 5 times a week, but how many times are you practicing?
7 times a week.
Every day?
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
I mean, sometimes it's 6 if like travel or something like that. But my goal, like, it's like it's a spiritual practice. It's like brushing my teeth, you know. It keeps me like, it's, you know, I sweat, I detoxify, it's like clearing of the mind, the body. So it's 7 days a week.
What other kinds of exercise do you like to do too? Because you were saying your Peloton bike, you like.
Yeah, I love to I do like my Peloton. I love to run. I love to hike. I'm very grateful that my husband's work has a trainer and I get to go for free.
That's
awesome. So I've been like lifting again. You know, I kind of got out of that for a while, but I've been like strength training. And I think at like my age, I'm not old by any means, but 37, like it's felt really good to start lifting again. And it's made my yoga practice stronger. I think that's why I'm able to do handstands, because I've been lifting. And so when I'm in the room, I've gotten stronger.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that. I haven't been lifting in a while, but when I was lifting and doing yoga at the same time, I was able to do a little bit more of the arm balance and headstand type of stuff. Like, it's amazing how everything can kind of work together.
Yeah.
So we have a bunch of questions for the ending. So first off, what does self-care mean to you?
Listening to what I need in the moment. Yeah, I mean, do you want me to go on?
Yeah, I was going to say, can you elaborate on that?
Okay. I think it's, you know, I'm pretty, I do have like, again, I practice every day, but I feel like really self-care is like, oh, I'm going to go for this long run, but wait, actually my knee is hurting. Like, maybe I'm not, you know, like just like give myself, or like, I'm really like feeling run down. What do I need to do? Like legs up the wall for 10 minutes? Or do I need to, you know, take a nap? Or maybe I'm feeling, I don't know, just anxiety. Self-care could look like, I'm going to call Mern or Kelly and like, let's just talk or go for a walk. Like reaching out to the people that I love and trust and that support me. That it looks like a lot of self-care for me too, because it's easy to just be at my house and hang out with Hank. And sometimes self-care looks like snuggling up with Hank,
exactly,
you know, and letting him snore. So it's just like really, real self-care for me is, what do I need right now?
Sure.
Yeah.
Very cool. What do you nerd out about in your free time?
Nerd out about? I'm like, I don't think I nerd out about anything.
Lauren's really cool.
Yeah,
She doesn't nerd out about anything.
I want to. I've been reading a lot of like fantasy books recently. Like I just finished. Well, I read Harry Potter for my first time ever.
You just read it. Oh my God.
I know. Well, it came out when I was in college, so it was too cool for school then. But my husband gave it to me for Christmas last year, so I killed that. And then I just finished his Dark Materials trilogy. So I'll just read. Like I love to read fantasies lately, you know, and like I love trilogies. I'm like, let me just, you know, like I've been nerding out about that, and I love to read something and watch it. Like read it, watch the episode, or read it, and that's been really fun lately. So I've had my head in a book a lot.
That's awesome. I love to read. I've always been like a book nerd, like a bookworm when I was growing up and stuff. And it's funny, you have so much more time when you're in middle school than you do as an adult.
I was not a bookworm when I was younger.
Really?
No.
Oh no. My mom would make fun of me because I would buy books all the time, and I was like obsessed with Mary Kate and Ashley back in the day, and like they had all of like their like 2 of a kind books, so that was what I would read, or like anything fantasy. So I read a lot of personal development, but it's a lot of audio versions of those books because I'm go. So one thing that I really for 2020 have been wanting to focus on is taking time, even if it's 30 minutes, like every day, every other day, whatever, to just sit down and read a book that has nothing to do with my life.
Yes.
And
that's why I love fantasy. Like I read a ton of like like yoga books, or like or books from Barron for teacher training, Brene Brown, all about that. So I'm like, let's just, this will make me appreciate that more.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. I tend to read teen books because they're really quick, and they like
The Golden Compass, Harry Potter. Those are
Harry Potter, Golden Compass. I have been reading, right now I'm reading one called Minders, but they're just like super quick, and because I don't have a great attention span, and so I'll do that, and then I listen to self-care type podcasts and YouTube and stuff like that, and audiobooks.
Yeah, it's the balance. Like I love to go for a walk and listen to a Super Soul Sunday by Oprah, or listen to, what's the other one? 10% Happier podcast, like, the free ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Just go
the
for a
free
walk.
ones are great, especially for those creatives who are just struggling to scrape by. We feel you. So what is your favorite personal routine that you have? Like, do you start your day a certain way or end your day a certain way?
Yeah, well, I start my day snuggling with my dog and husband if they're in the bed. And like I said, I like to wake up, get hot water going, get the coffee going, sit down and meditate. That is my ideal morning. And then I'll write in a gratitude journal or try to read something, just like a short, it doesn't take long. And then I like to move. Or answer some emails while I'm drinking coffee. And then either I'll go for a run, for a walk, or I'll get to yoga. So I love to move in the morning, and that sets me up for the whole day.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I know that you do a lot of yoga. You probably have a lot of patience, but what's your biggest pet peeve?
Well, you don't realize you have pet peeves until I think you're with somebody. Sometimes, you don't realize, oh my God. So one of my biggest pet peeves is somebody crunching on an apple,
oh my God.
That,
Chewing loudly,
or chewing loudly near me, because my husband is like a loud chewer. And he's got this beautiful big mouth, and he's just like, and he loves chips. And I'm like, this is me. I'm like, I'm just trying not to be like, well, you stop it.
How dare you eat near me?
You're eating too loud.
How dare you? And then I have to take a moment. This is when yoga comes along. Breathe. And then either I'll leave the room, or I'll just be like, I love him so much. This person's so great. But also it's a good thing to tell them, because I've told Mern, my dearest friend and the studio manager, about the apple thing, and then sometimes she'll bring an apple and she'll be like, I won't eat it right now. Thank you.
God bless you.
God bless. Or just let me leave the room and then go for it, or cut it up.
Right?
Just
Yeah, no, that is an annoying sound. But I always cut my apples, so I don't really think think about it.
As bad when you cut them up.
Yeah,
it's not. But this
Yep.
it's just it's funny to watch too.
Yeah.
So,
you kind of look like a horse when you're doing it.
Yeah, it's just hilarious.
So going back to the budgeting thing, what do you splurge on and what are you cheap about?
I splurge on delicious food, like organics, stuff like that.
Do you eat out a lot, or do you mostly cook at home?
We love to eat at home. On the occasional, once or twice a week, there could be out, but ideally at home. except for when you're traveling, and that's tough. What I splurge on? Soft things. Like loungewear.
Love it.
Yeah. There's like my new favorite, like it's called Lou and Grey. They're out of New York, and they make, this isn't Lou and Grey, but it's like the softest.
Their stuff
I just
is
love
so
soft like things. So that's sometimes I splurge on stuff like that. I splurge on things that'll last a long time.
Yeah.
Like if I know this jacket is going to last me years, then yeah, I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
But I try not to splurge on things that are, because I did a lot of that for the wedding. I realized, I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to, these memories are going to last.
Yeah. The memories will last.
The memories will last. But the shoes that I bought that I never wore are not going to last,
Yeah. So what are you cheap about? Just, I guess, things that are more ephemeral?
You don't like hard things.
Yeah.
I'm very cheap with hard things.
Like crunchy candy. No, I won't spend money on that. Things that I won't spend money on. A lot of things I won't spend money on anymore. What am I frugal? I'm just trying to think of my house. Like, what do I not buy? I don't know. That's such a great question. Like, what am I, like, frugal? I guess, there's some foods that, like, if it's not, like, organic or, like, if I'm not doing that, I'll buy the other brands and stuff like that. Like, I love going to Trader Joe's. It's, like, one of my favorite places.
Dara is, like, a Trader Joe's enthusiast.
Yeah.
So
I love Trader Joe's so much.
Yeah, but you always
she
spend
just
on,
moaned at the
money
thought of
on,
it.
like good fish, like spend money on meat, like that stuff. And I mean, I don't eat red meat, but my sister's husband owns Porter Road, and so you got to spend on stuff that's well done. But yeah, I think it's so funny. I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay.
You don't have to have a cheap thing. It's okay.
I'm sure I do. Yeah.
It'll come to you the second that we're done.
It's not coffee either, because I try to make my coffee at home because I can get caught up in spending money on coffee.
What's your go-to coffee drink? Do you get
I get an Americano, and sometimes I'll add a little almond milk or coconut milk.
Really good. Love it. So what's an unknown secret of your industry being a yoga teacher? I know that's kind of a weird question.
It's harder than it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, people are like, I want to open up a yoga studio. No, you don't. No, you don't. Like, you can, and like, if that's your dream, please do your dream. And there goes a lot into it, because it is a lot of, like, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of, it's a lot of, like, connecting, just trying to be clear and like, with integrity of, like, running a business, and also, like, keeping it's a business. Like, you can't give away classes. You can't, people are, it's even if you are on a budget, like, let's work something out so you're paying something, because when you give everything away, people don't value it as much. So I think it's, the secret is that it's tough. It's not easy. I mean, we get to practice yoga, and we're not all, like, peace, love, and, yoga. Like, we are, but there's some roughness. There's it's a business. We're still humans. So we have the, you
might have a little more patience in those business conversations, but
maybe,
it's still,
there could be a little bit more patience. I think that's what's, trying to bring that to everywhere you go.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's worth it, but it's tough. Like, I have no idea what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this. I'd probably own a bar or a coffee shop.
Hey, either one
with my
would be
sisters,
great.
so it's fun.
There you go. Awesome. All right. So the last question that we like to ask, we just want to know, what is your favorite band or your favorite type of music?
God, this is such a great question. Well, I don't know if it's my favorite type. I love Hamilton. Whenever I need to jazz myself up, I listen to the soundtrack.
Nice.
Not a band or.
I think I know every rap in that. It's embarrassing.
So
if you catch me listening to Hamilton, it's not going to be pretty.
It's so fun though. Like, it's
great.
so. I saw it in New York with my husband's family, and I was like, this is incredible. And then, like, anyways, so that's one of my favorite things to listen to. Definitely when I need to get, like, energized about something. I love so much music. It's such a silly answer though. I love Dawes, the band Dawes.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
I've heard someone say that one, but yes. Love it.
Yeah, I love Need to Breathe. I wouldn't say they're my favorite, but like I'm trying to think that's kind of what I listen to. I listen to lots of different. My husband's always listening to music, always. So I don't listen to it as all the time. So I'm like, let's just like chill it out. And yeah, I mean, I love like Tina Turner.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have specific music that you play during your yoga classes that? Like, is it specific bands or is it just
I don't
kind
have
of
specific
more...
bands. I definitely have specific type of music, depending on what type of like energy do I want to bring. Is it more like low key, or do I want to like amp it up? Like, are we teaching a really fun class? Like my sister and I taught a New Year's Eve class, so it was all like more pop, rock, hip hop, stuff like that. So it's like I'll listen to all that stuff, but it is very. It comes like, like slow, it builds, it's steady, and then it's slow at the end. So it's very intentional. Yeah. I don't have specific people that I play.
Nice. Well, thank you, Lauren, so much for coming on. And it's really cool to see this awesome space that you guys have and this awesome studio that you've built. And we're so excited to see what comes next for Shakti Yoga.
I appreciate you asking me, and like I love what you ladies are up to, so thank you. Yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks everyone for tuning into yet another episode of Beyond Broke and Hungry. Stay tuned for next week. We're sitting down with Jordan Rydstrom. She is a spiritual healer, life coach, musician, just all the things. We had a really awesome and fun interview with her, so we're really looking forward to you hearing it. Stay tuned, keep following us on social media, and we'll see you next time.